All right. Okay. We'll go ahead and get started here. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for the United Way of Greater Nashville's virtual tour Tuesday. My name is Brian Pulley. I'm a manager with United Way's Workplace Engagement Team. I have the great pleasure of working with our Tour Tuesday series. If this is your first one, welcome. We started the Tour Tuesday series in 2019 as an opportunity for folks to get an inside look at the great work happening in our community through United Way's partner agencies and programs. For fellow nonprofit staff, this is a great way to learn about other service providers and programs that might be beneficial to your own clients. For those looking to get involved, it can be a great way to hear about our current volunteer and engagement opportunities. And for our United Way donors, it's a fantastic opportunity to hear from the agencies who are putting your dollars to work in our community. While we do hope one day to be together again for in-person tours, we're happy to continue this virtual series. Each tour features agencies or programs from across the greater Nashville region as we come together to discuss current community conditions. During today's tour, we will be discussing the changes for this year's tax season, the American Rescue Plan, and how these changes may affect your families or businesses. Today, you'll have the opportunity to hear from Terry Knuckles and Lisa Booker with the IRS Taxpayer Advocate Group, Tamara Cree with the Volunteer Income Tax Assistant Program, and Samantha Williams of the Financial Empowerment Network. The Financial Empowerment Center and VITA are programs of the United Way. Direct service to community members is not usual for the United Way's work, but several years ago, we identified gaps in the community where we could step in and help these services. That's when they were established. So during today's conversation, we'll hear how these programs serve their clients and what we do and don't know yet about the American Rescue Plan. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions of our panelists through the Q&A box located in your Zoom control panel, and we'll try to address all of them at the end of our session. At this time, I would like to go ahead and introduce our fantastic panelists to let them tell you a little bit more about their respective work and what services they're providing in our community. We're going to start with the Taxpayer Advocate Group. We have Terry and Lisa. Lisa is on phone. I think she was having a little Zoom issue. So Terry and Lisa, take it away. Did we lose them? Okay. Let's go ahead and jump ahead then. We may have, and Tamara Cree, you want to go ahead and hop in, and we'll do your part and see if Terry can jump back in.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Tamara Cree, and I'm with the VITA program. That's the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. Our funding comes from a matching grant with the United Way and the IRS. All our volunteers are IRS certified by the and they're there to prepare tax returns at no charge for households with incomes less than $66,000. But I do want to make a note that our average income is about $25,000. To compare, the median income for the Nashville area is more like $70,000. So we deal with low to moderate income families, and we help them simply by filing their taxes. We are part of a national coalition of VITA groups across the nation for a virtual VITA. And this is our second tax season to be part of that coalition. We are now the state leads for the state of Tennessee. So we partner with the United Way of Mid-South in Memphis to provide services for virtually for taxpayers across the state of Tennessee. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I do want to give a shout out to our partners, which include the United Way of Dixon, Marshall County Senior Center, the United Way of Rutherford and Cannon counties, Westwood Baptist, St. Luke's Community, Conexión Americanas, and of course, Woodbine Community.
Thank you, Tamara. We're going to go now to Samantha Williams. Sam, you want to jump in, and then we'll see if we can get Terry and Lisa back on.
Good morning, everyone. Like I said in the chat, it's fun to see so many old friends and colleagues on. I'm Sam Williams. I manage the Financial Empowerment Network, which is a program of United Way in the mayor's office. We are a program that provides free, personalized, professional financial counseling for anyone in the greater Nashville region. We started as Davidson County, but recently we've been able to expand specifically with the counties that United Way has expanded to, so Williamson, Robertson, and then we also are kind of serving the broader region, mostly because we have virtual financial counseling now. All of our counselors are serving virtually, which can be phone or video chat. The model of the Financial Empowerment Center, it's a national model with the Cities for Financial Empowerment, which is a Bloomberg Philanthropies project. We started in 2008. We're one of the first 5 cities, and now they're up to about 40 cities. We get to serve as an expert for folks like Memphis, Jackson, Tennessee is coming on, Atlanta, Roanoke, all kinds of great cities are kind of in this movement. The model is, it is a public service. So we have no income restrictions. We serve anyone in the region, and it's provided by a nonprofit. So being United Way, we have great connections with all the employers, all of the nonprofits in town, and are able to serve a really broad range of folks. The financial counseling itself, we serve folks that are in chronic financial stress, have just a crisis come up like COVID with unemployment or something, and then folks that are relatively stable, but maybe they have student loans, maybe they have a credit card issue, maybe they just want somebody to check their math because they want to buy a house in the near future. So we focus it's very client driven. We work on increasing savings, access to safe and affordable bank accounts, establishing and improving credit, reducing debt, and of course, budgeting undergirds everything that we do. Our counselors have a really holistic way of budgeting, so it doesn't feel punitive. You know, if folks approach it like a diet and they screw up once and then they just throw up their hands, it's not helpful in the long run. So we do a lot of like being realistic with folks, and also working on cash flow. So like at different times of the month, you don't feel super strapped or you don't feel real flush and then you make a mistake, right? So the counselors are really highly trained. They have seen anything and everything. You know, being part of United Way, like I said, we have tons of partnerships. These are some of the big ones. The national folks at Cities for Financial Empowerment. Nexion Americas provides all of our Spanish language counseling. So they're an employee of them, but they work with us. The Family Collective, which I think you've heard about in other Tour Tuesdays. We have a financial counselor that serves exclusively those families at risk of or experiencing homelessness. We partner with VITA, my colleagues, of course. We partner with the SNAP Employment and Training Program. We partner with Woodbine Community Organization, who's a big VITA partner. They'll be having a financial counselor on staff there as well, and then also with the Department of Human Services. If your nonprofit or your company would like to have a more intentional relationship with us, you'll have my contact information after that. After this, we partner with tons of other agencies, a lot of our funded partners like Habitat, Project Return, Bridges for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, Operation Stand Down, a bunch of metro departments. And I'm hoping as we kind of all get back into a more regular rhythm of funding, that we can do some expansion around seniors, veterans. Hopefully I'd like to add a counselor who speaks Arabic, folks that are criminal justice involved. So we are in expansion mode. It's a very measurable program. Over our 8 years, we've helped 8,400 clients, 24,000 financial counseling sessions. We have helped clients reduce their debt by $16.5 million and increase their savings by at least $3 million. I think the savings is a little underreported. And this doesn't even get to the whole economic impact, because people save interest, save money on the interest on their car loans and house notes and lower debt burdens. Primarily our clients are lower income, like Tamara said. I think is pretty tremendous that folks at lower incomes can do this much debt and savings work. like 88% of our clients are below the average median income. You can see our client locations track really closely with the poverty census tracks. Again, that's because we work with a lot of social service providers as well. Credit scores of our clients are typically pretty low. We do work with some folks who have very good and exceptional credit, but a quarter of our clients don't even have a score. And so we work a lot with them to bring things up. Our clients have tremendous amounts of debt load. This is a new measure we've been able to track with our Salesforce database and with our contract with Experian. And that 23.5 million in student loan debt's just really shocking. We knew there was a lot there, but that there's significantly more student loan debt than housing debt is something that we're working on. So that was a lot of information. I talked quickly. We'll have questions later. But mostly what I want you to know is, I know this is a mix of agencies and donors. This program isn't just for our clients. This is for you and your friends and your family members. We all could use an expert to check our math and to make sure that we're on a path, especially, nonprofit staff as well. So here's the information. I'll put it in the chat as well, but it's a really powerful service. I'm glad I had the chance to share with you. We'll get more to the tax stuff in a second.
Thank you, Sam. Amazing numbers. I appreciate that. Next, I think we have Terry on the phone. So Terry, we're going to turn it over to you. And you are on mute, so you want to maybe unmute. Technology, we got to love it. Okay. We'll see if we can get Terry back. So we're going to just, we will go to the next section. Sam and Tamara, I appreciate you sharing. Could each of you spend some time discussing updates for this year and how the American Rescue Plan may affect them or their businesses? And what are some important questions you're hearing from taxpayers? We've seen a couple come in the chat, but Tamara, we'll start with you if you want to lead us off there.
As I said, we're part of a national coalition of VITA sites, and you'll hear this at all the VITA coordinators meetings. We're basically building the plane as we're flying it. So there was the American Rescue Act was a last minute change in the middle of tax season. That's pretty unusual that tax law would change. So something we're looking at are the people that filed before that change in law to see if we need to go back and amend their tax return. We're waiting on guidance from the IRS. But basically, some big things with that tax law was that anyone that had unemployment, the first $10,200 of their unemployment income was not taxable, which of course was a huge benefit. We're seeing people that are getting a much higher refund because of that. And then of course, if anyone had healthcare through the marketplace, commonly known as Obamacare, sometimes people have to pay back some of the premium. And in this situation, because of the tax law change, they do not need to pay back anything that they owed. If they paid too much in premiums, they don't have to pay that back. So those are two big areas that we're seeing. And I'm not even touching the 3 economic impact payments or the stimulus checks. But anyone who did not receive their stimulus check in 2019, there was 2 of them. They can recap that or recover that money by filing a 2020 tax return. So I think I did the report last week. As of last week, we had about 125 returns that we have filed for people that did not normally file a tax return. But because they didn't get their stimulus check, we were able to file a tax return for them so they could get their stimulus money. So about 125 out of 1,500 returns.
Thank you. Sam, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to talk more about the 2021 issues. things that'll be coming in tax code.
Okay.
We are more the, we do the one-on-one financial counseling. So a lot of what is coming, we're helping clients kind of prepare for. But also, really quickly, I want to tell you just a little bit about what United Way is doing. So a lot of the American Rescue Plan also has a ton of funding in there for emergency rental assistance, homeowner assistance, housing choice vouchers. So there's $22 billion coming out to help those things. And if you don't know this already, United Way has been one of the intermediaries that helps bring the state and local, the federal funds, and helps them get out to the agencies. And so we've been pushing those dollars out to our financial assistance network to get them into the hands of folks to help pay down rent, pay down, avoid evictions and things. So a lot more funding is coming in the American Rescue Plan, both for that, and then like there's specific pots for local funds, and those can be used different ways besides just the rent and emergency assistance. There are other kind of avenues, so other public health, other ways that cities and localities have responded to coronavirus. So it may be assistance to small businesses, nonprofits, industries, particularly like in Nashville, to the hospitality and travel industry. So those funds we assume will be coming out soon. It's kind of that, like Tamara said, building the plane in the air. A lot of our answers are we don't know yet. Some of this is still coming out. In terms of 2021 tax issues that we'll be working with clients on while the VITA crew is finishing up this tax season, there is a lot of great stuff in this return that's going to lift millions of children out of poverty, families and individuals, things that have been in the tax code, but they're being expanded. So the child tax credit, for example, which a lot of people know about, the amounts have gone up. The amounts also, it's $3,000 per child now, and it's $3,600 if your child's under 6, which, if you've got daycare costs, which we know is one of the biggest things, there's so that tax credit is now fully refundable. So even if you don't have a tax liability, you will get that whole amount. There's a little thing about that with taxes. The child and dependent care credit is also fully refundable now. So that is where you would claim your dependent care expenses on your report. Also much higher limits on that. The earned income tax credit, which we know is a huge tool to lift people out of poverty. The age is coming down. They're increasing limits for childless workers. There's a bunch of, that tool is being utilized even more than ever. And then the child tax credit is going to be interesting, and you've heard this in the news probably, is they're going to pay half of that tax credit out through the year. And so it's not all one big lump sum in February when you get your tax return done, which I think is really going to help, like I said, pulling tons of people out of poverty, particularly children out of poverty. And if families can utilize that throughout the year rather than that one lump sum, it's significant. And something our counselors work on with folks all the time about how you set your withholding so that you don't necessarily get a huge refund, that you have that money in your paycheck throughout the year. I think that is all the major, and this is not tax related, but SNAP, also formerly known as food stamps, those benefits are going up. At least through September of 21. TANF is going up by 25%. The Department of Human Services is working on a bill right now to make sure they can increase TANF dollars. That is what I have for the American Rescue Plan. I know Terry's got some other things they want to talk about.
Yeah, and we've got a bunch of questions coming in, so it'll be good. We'll have a little more time. Terry, are you there? I think we may try to figure out the issue with the technology. Terry, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Thank you.
I apologize for that technology glitch, but we'll work our way through it. Good morning to everybody. I'm Terry Knuckles, and I am with the Internal Revenue Services Taxpayer Advocate Department. My department works with taxpayers who have attempted to resolve issues and for whatever reason has not been able to resolve them with the Internal Revenue Service. We also work with taxpayers to make sure that their taxpayer rights are being protected anytime that they do have an interaction with the Internal Revenue Service. And finally, we work with taxpayers who are experiencing hardships that need some type of immediate relief that we are able to assist them with. This has been kind of a tricky tax year for us. We know that we've got a lot of return issues. We're talking still millions of returns from 2019 that have not been processed, that we are working diligently with the Internal Revenue Service to try to get them processed. In the middle of all of that, of course, we're also looking at the 2020 tax returns, and we're trying to get them through. So we're dealing with taxpayers who, as has been mentioned earlier, who have been trying to get their stimulus payments and did not receive one or both in 2020, and may not have also received theirs for in this tax year. We are working with them to try to get those returns processed, where they may be claiming the recovery rebate credit to get those funds. And we're trying to get those through. So IRS is doing a special screening just to make sure that double payments don't go out, but that we also, by the same time, get those payments out as quickly as possible. So again, it's been a different tax year for us. We know that we've got a lot of frustrated taxpayers out there, but we wanted to be sure that you know that Taxpayer Advocate Service is available to assist you through this process. You can call our local lines, or you can call the toll-free lines to receive information about it. And there's a lot of information that is posted on irs.gov. And you can also look at irs.gov under Taxpayer Advocate. And there's a lot of information about the coronavirus relief that we are trying to assist taxpayers through. Also online with me is Lisa Booker, who is one of the managers in the Taxpayer Advocate office. And she wanted to share just a little of our hiring initiatives.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lisa.
Okay. I don't have access to being able to show you the IRS website. Terry, you have that up that they can see that?
I can share my screen. Yes.
Okay. Let me know when you're able to. So again, my name is Lisa Booker. I am a manager here in Taxpayer Advocate Service, and I just wanted to share a little bit of information in reference to the hiring initiative for the IRS. We've had a lot to leave due to retirement, and we're trying to build staffing up. And I'm here today just basically to show you how to navigate through the IRS system to find a potential job or career with the IRS or with any other federal agency. You know, we have a lot of family members and friends who are looking for a career change, or right through now, we're getting ready to have some high school graduates and also college graduates, and they're coming out like a deer in headlights as to what do I want to do in life. So this is going to be, as far as a good website that we would like to share with you all to get it out there and hopefully take a look at IRS as a career and go from there. So Terry, if you would let me know where you are, since I'm just by phone and can't see what you have up.
All right, I'm at the irs.gov website homepage.
Okay, if you will scroll to the bottom for me where it shows careers to the far left.
Okay.
All right, clicking on careers here, my system's a little slow here.
All right.
All right. Here we're talking about our IRS careers, and also it's also shown that IRS is hosting some virtual information sessions about the following positions: revenue agents, revenue officers, contact representatives, and these are awesome positions. Some of them will require, as far as college, some accounting credits, some contact representatives. This is a great job for someone coming out of high school without any type of college background. This is a great opportunity. These jobs, and I will tell you, we have great benefits, such as health care, life insurance, paid vacation, 401k. And so this is a plus in this day and time. Let's go down a little further. Okay. Coming out of high school, I'll say most of us, we know about IRS, but there are the young kids out here, and they want to know who is IRS and what do they have to offer. If you go to the tab where it says About Us at the top, this will tell you a little bit about who is the IRS and what are the business divisions. Are we there, Terry, on that link? Who is the IRS? Okay.
Following you.
All right. And our business divisions, it also lists as far as the divisions that we have inside of the IRS, the different places that you're able to work through. There's also, as I told you, the collection contact representatives. If you scroll down, you're able to see that right now they are holding, as far as some virtual events where you can go in and register, and you can learn a little bit more about being a collection contact representative. So all of these are links there if you're interested, that you're able to go in and do a virtual session and learn a little bit more about the different positions. As you go over, it says find a job. The next one over, it says student, veterans, Schedule A. Students, this is a good opportunity for, again, as far as students who they may be in college and they're wanting to, we'll click on college, to do an internship. You may be a recent graduate. So these are some of the things they talk about as far as a student wanting to work for the IRS. Veterans, there is veterans preference. You'll need to click under Veterans Preference, where we'll talk a little bit more about that. We also have Schedule A. Schedule A is for our disabled, handicapped people who are looking for employment. And under Schedule A, there is a lot of information there as well. And we'll give them an exception as far as employment to be hired through the federal government. So some information there, very good information. Job openings, I want you to take a look at that. Terry, if you'll go down to job openings, and
okay.
There where we're talking about, we scroll down and we can see as far as positions that are available, the grade of that job and the pay amount that they're offering for that job. When you scroll over where it says post date, this is the date that this job may have opened, and the closing date is the date that that job will close. That means 12 o'clock midnight, May 3rd on that first job up there, that job will close, and all applications any applications after 12 midnight will not be taken. So the next one is the locations where these jobs are available. So there's a lot of jobs out there in all states. And then you scroll over and it says to apply. It will tell you how to apply for those jobs and what's needed and what are the qualifications at that point.
Okay.
The next one over, the application process. Application process, it talks about how, and it helps you to it shows you how to prepare an application. It goes into the hiring process, how do you apply, and also usajobs.gov. So usajobs.gov is not just basically the IRS. Let's click on the USA Jobs.
Okay.
So I can take a bit on that one. So USA Jobs, you may know of a job that you're interested in. This will help to filter it down and be able to send you an email to show you if a job becomes available. This means you will have to set up a profile for yourself. And once a job comes open for whatever your interest may be, then it will shoot you an email and say, go to USA Jobs, a job has come open, and allow you to apply for it. So it's a good system. And again, IRS is a great place, great opportunity available for those looking for a career change or just looking for a job. So that's all I have today. Just want to be able to show you as far as this tool and be able to give back to somebody that you may know that may need some assistance with finding a job.
Terry, while you have you're sharing your screen, could you show people how they can track their stimulus payments?
Okay, sure will.
Thank you.
Okay, so any information that you're wanting to know regarding your tax return, how to file a tax return, other resources that are available to assist you, even down to the VITA that Tamara mentioned earlier, you can find by going to irs.gov. And another feature of irs.gov is finding out where you are or what the status is of your stimulus payment. So when you go to the home page of irs.gov, the first box here to the left says Get My Payment. So if you click on that box, then it's going to give you all kinds of information telling you what IRS is doing as far as stimulus payments. And you can see here that we are on the third stimulus payments. Again, there were 2 that were issued in 2020. And then the most recent payment was issued in 2021. So we're talking about the third round of economic impact payments statuses here. So at the top of this page, and again, we went to Get My Payment. You can click on the tab that says Get My Payment here. It tells you that this is an IRS system. And of course, we are tracking an IRS payment. So that's not a problem there. So just simply click OK. And it's going to ask you for some information just to verify that you are who you say you are. This safeguards anybody else from being able to come in and get your stimulus information. So you'll see that the questions that are asked there is for your social security number, date of birth, your street address, and this should all match your latest information that IRS has on record for you. And then finally, your zip code. Once you go in and continue, and I'm sorry, I don't have an example to show you, but once you continue, then it's going to go ahead and give you options as far as finding out exactly what happened with each of your stimulus payments. When you go into Get My Payment and you enter all of this information and you click continue, it's going to tell you if your payment was issued or if there's no information, and it's going to tell you how it was issued. So that will let you know if it was done. So if you're filing your 2020 tax return, I encourage folks to go here and check to make sure if they're saying that they did not get a stimulus payment in 2020, double check here and see if IRS issued it, because it could be that it was a lost or stolen payment. And then that kind of takes you in a different direction with resolving that with the Internal Revenue Service. If it indicates that the payment wasn't issued, then you know that you'll want to claim that as a credit on your 2020 tax return. But again, if it indicates that it has been issued, then you're going to want to contact IRS because we're going to need to do a trace on that payment. I will go back to the home page once again. And again, once you go, you can get that information from Get My Payment, but then you can also get more general information under the second tab there that says Get Coronavirus Tax Relief. So it also talks about some of the initiatives that are made to get the stimulus payments out. There are Q&As on both of these tabs, okay? So if you go down just from where we looked at Get My Payment, there's information on how the payment is being sent. And then there's some other Q&As that are listed here. It tells you different messages, again, that you'll get from Get My Payment, and then how to go in and claim it on your 2020 tax return. So there's a lot of good information regarding the stimulus payments and the rebate recovery credit that you can claim on 2020 if you have not gotten it. Now, just as a reminder that all of the third stimulus payments have not been issued. IRS is still working on those. So it's not time yet to go into panic mode on those. But if for some reason we get to the end of the year and you have not gotten your third stimulus payment, just as we did for the 2020 payments, you'll be able to go in and claim that as a credit on your 2021 tax return. But hopefully that won't be the case and we can get all of those payments out, because we know everybody is really needing that, and we do want to stimulate the economy. Anything else you want me to point out?
No, that's great, Terry. Very helpful. I did want to circle back just because I don't know if we got to this on your initial portion. Could you and Lisa talk a little bit about the American Rescue Plan and how that may affect them or their businesses?
All right, so that one's kind of out of our scope.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What we are focusing on right now through Taxpayer Advocate Service is we're looking at Taxpayer First Act is one of the things that we are focusing on right now. And then of course, we are focusing on the coronavirus reliefs right now. So if you go to irs.gov, or if you go to irs.gov/taxpayer advocate, you'll get more information on the Taxpayer First Act. And it talks about how the focus for IRS that is being prompted by Taxpayer Advocate Service right now is to ensure that taxpayers are getting the quality service that they deserve. It is no longer a recommendation. It is now being codified, which means it is being pushed into a law that the IRS is going to take certain steps to make filing taxes and getting tax information and tax help more friendly to the taxpayers. And we've had some problems with that. IRS as a whole is kind of behind in some of their technologies and being able to service taxpayers. And that's one of the things that the Taxpayer First Act is looking to try to alleviate.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're good to jump into the Q&A portion here. So if you do have questions, feel free to put those in the chat. We've had several come through, and so we're gonna start getting to those. And Terry and Lisa, while I have you, we'll start with you. There's a question: how many stimulus checks have been given out so far? And then also kind of a follow-up to that: are there certain populations who are most likely to have missed out on those stimulus checks?
So let me start with the second question, only because I'm looking for my data on the number and I don't have that readily available. But as far as taxpayers missing out on the rebates, if you received a rebate in 2020, then there was no action that was required of you for 2021 to get that third payment. It was automatic. So whereas when we first started issuing stimulus payments in 2020, if you were a non-filer, maybe you weren't required to file because your only income was Social Security. For 2020, we had you go in and we had you do a non-filer tax return. And basically that was just for the purpose of updating information so that those checks could be sent out. So if you successfully received a stimulus payment in 2020, for 2021, that payment followed the same information that we had available for you in 2020. So you didn't have to take any action. This year, you did not have to file any type of tax return to get that. The only reason you're filing tax returns in 2020 or for 2020 is if that stimulus payment did not get to you. Again, if it didn't get to you and it's showing that the IRS issued it, then there are certain passes you're going to take to try to have IRS track that payment for you and get it reissued to you. But as far as any specific population missing out on it, no, it covered the full gambit. So it was pretty much an automatic process. We had a couple of glitches with the very first payment, but it's been cleared out up to this third payment. So everybody who is entitled to a payment should have received it or should be receiving it shortly. You were able to get it if you were an American citizen, whether or not you were entitled to file a tax return, you were eligible. One of the things that changed midstream last year is when it first came out, if you were an incarcerated individual, you were not eligible for it. But the law changed and we came back and we rectified those. So even persons who are incarcerated were able to get it. So as long as you had a social security number, you were able to get it. There were additional or supplemental payments that went out for dependents. However, in and of yourself, if you were a dependent being claimed on a parent's tax return, you did not get your own personal stimulus for yourself.
Thank you. That's great information. And we have a couple little follow-ups just while we're talking about the stimulus check. One question was, if you had not filed income tax for a certain period of time, say 10 years, can you still receive one? And then a follow-up to that, if you're a migrant but your children are U.S. citizens, will they be able to get something from the third stimulus? So just a couple of follow-ups on the stimulus. And I can repeat the second one if you want to go to the first one.
Okay, I'll take the first one.
Okay.
As far as if you were a non-filer for, however many years, there would have had to been something in the system for us to know to send you a stimulus check. So if you just had a history of non-filing, you would not have automatically have gotten a check. You would have had to gone in and filed either 2019 or 2020 tax return to get that payment. Again, that is if you were liable to file. If you were not liable to file, then we would have been picking up your information from Social Security records, and your payment would have followed whatever was happening with the Social Security check, for example. If you were getting that direct deposits for Social Security, you would have gotten a direct deposit. If you were getting a check, which of course for Social Security, most were not getting paper checks anymore, but there might have been an instance that would have triggered a check going out to you. But you would have had to take some action to be in a federal system for us to know to send you a stimulus payment.
And then the second part of that was, if you're an immigrant but your children are U.S. citizens, will they be able to get something from that third stimulus check?
You would have had to have had a valid Social Security number in order to receive a check. As far as any type of dependence, that information, I'd have to check on it and follow up with you on it because I don't have more information on that one.
Okay. I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. There was a question on FEC, and the question says, once a client has a stable financial plan and working towards debt reduction, does the FEC offer training guidance about 401k and retirement plans?
Yeah, that's definitely something that our counselors work towards with folks. There is a limit to, because we are counseling, we are not providing any products. There's a little bit of a limit to what we can kind of align and where we can go up to with clients. That is something actually we're hoping to get some extra professional development stuff around, but our counselors are, one of the things they often work with folks is making sure that they have access to a 401k, they're utilizing it, they're utilizing their benefits and insurance correctly. So yeah, they'll help kind of folks get started, but we are not CFPs. And so there is a point where we might hand off, particularly, especially about specific products. We cannot give advice on particular products.
And this was answered in the chat, but I just want to throw it out to the group for Sam. The debt statistics you shared, were they for United Way Nashville clients, or was it for a broader geographic?
Those were specifically for FEC clients in the year 2020.
Okay. I saw that in the chat.
Yep.
Another one we have, and I'll just open this up to the group, whoever wants to grab it can. Someone asked, can you discuss the importance of paying off student loan and IRS debt? So whoever wants to.
Somebody want to start with the IRS debt?
Lisa, you want to start with the IRS debt? She may be muted. It is very important that you start working down an IRS debt as soon as possible. The debt does not go away, and you're being charged interest and penalty until that debt is paid in full. Also, if you owe an IRS debt, any subsequent tax returns that you file that you may have a refund on, it's going to automatically go towards that debt. You will not get that refund payment. Now, luckily, a lot of taxpayers were able to be helped with the stimulus payments, in that part of the law was that the stimulus payments would not go to any outstanding debt. But that we can't count on that always being the case. So you want to get that work down as soon as possible. Also, depending on the amount of your tax debt, how long that debt has been incurred, it starts impacting your credit rating as well. So you want to make sure that you are trying not to, get yourself into a situation where your credit looks bad because of a debt that was not paid. So it's always important, even if you can only pay a little bit, we always encourage, when you file your tax return, pay as much as you can when you file that return. Don't delay filing your return just because you do not have the money, because when you file a tax return, you're subject to certain penalties that will be assessed on that return. So if you do not file your return timely by the deadline, for this year it's May 17th, then you will start incurring a 5% penalty of any unpaid tax balance because you filed that late. And that's for any portion of a month up to a maximum of 25%. You will also, if you don't pay, if you owe a balance and you don't pay it when you file that return, you're also going to incur a failure to pay penalty. So at least you can eliminate one of the penalties right off the top and go ahead and file that return timely. And then as soon as you receive your first notice from the Internal Revenue Service, contact us immediately so that we can set up a payment agreement for you. And that way you don't have to worry about any possible enforced collection actions, such as a wage garnishment or a bank account garnishment. So you really don't want anything that is going to be of detriment happening to you. It's always better if you work with the Internal Revenue Service to resolve that issue. There may be other payment options and other ways to satisfy that balance that we can work with you on it. So again, just make sure that you're communicating with us and don't ignore the notices.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing about the IRS debt. Like, that is one of the priorities. Work on that one first. Particularly, work with the IRS. Pay as much as you can, as quickly as you can, and then get on a payment plan. The payment plans are also what we would urge folks to do with student loan. As you could see from the slide, the amount of student loans that people have and the income of our clients, it can feel absolutely insurmountable, folks. And we used to talk about student loan debt as good debt, like housing debt, but it's still debt. It's still significant, and the payments that people have often make so many other things in their life harder to pay their rent, harder to pay their car note, and things that are important. So we do work with a lot of people on getting their student loans out of default, getting on the right payment plan so that they are proactively addressing their student loan debt, but that there are things with higher interest rates, a larger effect on your credit, that we would prioritize with clients. Even though those dollar amounts may be less, like on my chart, there are things that we would prioritize with clients. Also, one thing that we do a lot with folks on debt is teach them how to call and renegotiate a debt. Like, we may do it the first time with a client and then empower them to know, well, these are the questions you can ask. These are the things, maybe this certain collection company, if you save up, you can offer some type of settlement with them. That's something our counselors do a lot with folks. They also, particularly around COVID, credit card companies and other debtors were willing to work with folks. You just had to know to call and tell them what was going on. There was a lot of assistance and help out there. I don't know how long that goodwill will last with some of these folks that carry debt for you, but I think, like Terry said, getting on the payment plans and being proactive about it, not just like hiding from the fact that you have this loan, is really important.
Thank you, Sam. I've got a couple for, am I going to echo there? Okay. Couple for Tamara. Do you know any sites besides Conexion America that are doing free tax preparation?
I do. And I think, Sam, if you could pull up the unitedwayfilefree.org is our website. And do check here because some of the sites are closed. A couple sites closed April 15th and are reopening for a week or two some of them are appointment only, and the appointments are filling up, but you can always go to our virtual. That's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week up until May 12th. We're going to close on May 12th, and so that will give us the weekend to finish all the tickets, get them approved and accepted by the IRS, so nobody's late for that midnight, May 17th deadline.
Can I see my screen?
Mm-hmm. I can see your screen.
Okay, all right.
Thank
so
you, Sam.
let me click in here. So
sure, but you can also call 211, or you can text your zip code to 898-211. But if you scroll down, you'll see the information about the virtual VITA and the website there. And then if you keep scrolling down, it'll have the VITA sites on the right there, and click there. And again, we're trying to encourage people to use the virtual. All you need is a phone that takes pictures. You don't need a computer. You just need a phone that takes pictures. And if you scroll down, it'll have a list of all the different sites. Keep scrolling. You can see Dixon is closed, but some of the sites are open. And the hours, and then if they have an appointment, there is a little button you can click that will take you to, and you can make an appointment at those sites. We also have the days and times that they are closing.
I would also say, particularly since someone mentioned Conexion Americas, who is doing the bulk of returns in Spanish for the community. The virtual program also has access to a language line. And so anybody coming in that are not comfortable processing their return in English, the volunteers have access to that. So there is help available, even when Conexion stops preparing in-person returns.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we've done tax returns in Cambodian, Nepalese, Vietnamese, and then of course the Spanish.
Thank you. I think we had one more question for you. Someone had a little more information on Problem Solving Day.
Yes, I'm so glad. I want to make sure we talk about Problem Solving Day. This is something special. We pair up a VITA volunteer with the Taxpayer Advocates. So we're going to have a Problem Solving Day June 3rd. It will be a hybrid. We'll have the Taxpayer Advocates will be available virtually, and then we'll have the volunteer where they'll work, of course, with proper PPE and screening, masks, et cetera, so if you have a problem, if you've gotten a letter from the IRS and you don't know how to solve it, if things are, and Terry can talk more about some of the situations that they will help clients with, the typical situations. But what makes this special is if the Taxpayer Advocates can often show a certain form that will need to solve the problem, but the taxpayer volunteers will be there to actually do, if an amended return needs to be created or a form needs to be filled out, the volunteers will be able to actually do that work for the taxpayer. We love these days. We try to do them a couple times a year because when people come in with a problem, they walk out and it is solved. They don't have to be bounced around from agency to agency. So Tara, if you want to talk, at least if you want to talk about some of the situations that we see in Problem Solving Day.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So going out on the Problem Solving Days, which is a rewarding experience, we do come across taxpayers who've had issues where their issues have gone into examination. And so they have tried to get an issue resolved. They've sent information in to the service center and they're not getting a response. That is when we're able to go ahead and take the case in, make it a case into Taxpayer Advocate Service. We're able to assign them an advocate, and they work one-on-one with that one person, and they don't have to call around to IRS anymore. They have one case advocate, and they work the issue all the way through. It is a partnership between the taxpayer and the case advocate that is assigned. Whatever information that they request, they're asking for them to get it to them so that they can work with the examinations area or the collections area. It may be a levy issue, a garnishment on the wages. It may be an installment agreement request that they've tried to resolve and cannot get the issue resolved. We step in, and again, we're able to get a case advocate assigned, and they work it through the process.
And our problem solving day is going to be June 3rd. So Terry was talking about getting things filed before the deadline, the filing deadlines. This is will be within a month, within 30 days of our deadline. So if there is some issue, we're trying to get it resolved as close to tax day as possible. So that's June 3rd. And if you have a situation where you would want to make an appointment, we're doing that on our appointment line. And I think someone's putting that line up on chat, but the appointment line number is 615-830-7940. 615-830-7940. And then problem solving day is June 3rd.
And I will echo what Tamara and Lisa have already said. This has been a very important event for us. We were kind of disappointed we weren't able to do them last year, but this year it's going to be even more important because we already know that there's about 6 million pieces of correspondence that came in during last year that still have not been resolved for taxpayers. So taxpayers will sometimes have issues where they need a transcript for school or for closing on a home. That is information that we can assist with pretty quickly. Now, we can't necessarily get a tax return processed, even though we're working on that. And one of the things that we're able to do in working towards getting returns processed a little sooner is we're issuing taxpayer assistance orders to the Internal Revenue Service, asking them to go and find returns and get them processed. But again, something as simple as a transcript to be able to file or to provide to a school or to a mortgage lender, those are some of the things that we were able to do during problem solving days as well with Tamara on site to provide the taxpayer the information so that they could walk out with it that day to complete whatever business transaction they needed to do. There may be instances, as Lisa stated, where you may have had an ongoing examination with the Internal Revenue Service that we really need to get resolved. We have at our disposal tax experts within the Internal Revenue Service who will also go in and take a look at taxpayer accounts right there on the spot, tell us what the problem is. They'll run some interventions for us. So again, a lot of taxpayers were able to walk out that day with a resolution for something that may have been hanging over their head for months or for even years. So we hope that everybody will take advantage of this problem solving day or one of our future ones.
Thank you for the information. We are right at time. I did want to mention, Terry put in the chat that it was a previous question. Per the website, as of April 14th, about 159 million stimulus payments have been sent. So I just wanted to follow back up on that. I know there are further questions. We will be sending out to each attendee a follow-up email with contact information, as well as the contacts of our agency representatives from today's tour, so you can follow up with questions there. I want to say a big thank you to our panelists, Terry, Lisa, Tamara, and Sam, for taking time to be with us today. I know I speak for all of us in this virtual space we're in, that we're grateful for the work that you've done and continue to do at a time when the community definitely needs you more than ever. United Way is so grateful to be a partner and supporter of your work. And I want to send a thank you to all of our attendees for taking time out to join us and learn a little more today, and your support of the United Way. We couldn't do this work without you. So We hope that you'll join us again for Tour Tuesday next month. We'll have May's tour posted on the United Way's website. Just click on the Get Involved button. And I want to thank you again, and stay healthy and have a great week, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be well.